Morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be able to talk with all of you. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Jelita Putri Wardhani, or you can call me Jelita from Class F, speaking for general purposes. Today, in this video, I'm going to talk about the current issue that has happened in Indonesia since a long time ago: corruption in Indonesia. Before starting this discussion, I have three main points that I will discuss here. First, what is corruption? And here, I will also give you some explanation about the corruption situation that happened in Indonesia. And the second is the reasons why corruption is rampant in Indonesia. And the last is several ways to eradicate corruption. Okay, so now let's start with our first topic. What is corruption? Corruption is an act of reaching oneself, other people, or groups that can harm countries' finances and countries' economy. According to Merdeka.com in 2020, Indonesia is the third most corrupt country in the world, behind India and Cambodia. Corruption is the current issue that has happened in Indonesia since the Suharto era. Besides that, corruption is undergoing in the political environment and economic environment. According to Aim Barudin, corruption was one of 7% economic growth per annum, on average over a period 32 years, and despite its cronyism and corruption. And then, how did this all happen? Ladies and gentlemen, there are several reasons why corruption is rampant in Indonesia. To discuss about this, let's move to our next topic. There are some reasons and analyses which forms of corruption are manifest in Indonesia. First of all, low income and poverty can cause corruption to be happen in Indonesia. In 2010, Indonesia had been found that around 3102 million poor people suffered from poverty, with 15 million of them living in Java. Due to the low income in Indonesia, corruption and extortion has been spreading over all levels of the government, such as in the immigration of Indonesia, in the tourism industry. This case happens when Jakarta immigration officers at Indonesia Passport Control accusing travelers of irregularities on their tourist visa in hopes for $10 cash as a donation. The low income of the officers causes them to bribe tourists in the immigration. Other reasons that cause corruption in Indonesia are light punishment against corruptors, ineffective supervisions, the greedy officials, wrong state administration system, law enforcement that doesn't work, rooted community culture, and no exemplary leader. Ladies and gentlemen, after knowing what corruption is and the reasons behind the corruption that happened in Indonesia, now you must be wondering, what can we do to help this country? What can we do to eradicate this corruption? To know more about it, let's move to our last topic: several ways to eradicate corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, the first thing we can do to eradicate corruption is 1. Give heavy punishment to corruptors. Giving severe punishment to the perpetrators of corruption will create a deterrent effect. This can also be a lesson for all people not to do the same thing. Next is be a leader with integrity. As a leader, you should set a good example for each member. If all the leaders of a country, government, company, or business do not commit acts of corruption, then this can prevent people under them from committing acts of corruption. Third, build a moral education since childhood. Moral education is a foundation that must be given from a young age. With moral educations, every human being is not easily tempted by corrupt practice. A person with good morality will act with justice, integrity, and dignity. They realize that acts of corruption will harm others people. Next, intensively instilling religious values. Every religion basically never teach despicable deeds. So, people who believe in God usually will not get caught up in acts of corruption. And the last thing is uphold law supremacy. The power of law is indispensable to uphold justice. When the law doesn't function as intended, public trust will be lost. By building a strong rule of law, corrupt actors will not find a loophole to carry out their actions. Building a strong rule of law is to apply punishment fairly without favoritism so that no one is above the law. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have arrived at the end of our conversation today. I hope that we can take a good lesson from what I delivered and make us more aware about corruption. Together, we will create Indonesia, a beautiful country without corruption. I am Jelita Putri Wardhani. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.